Hi, both of you. Thank you for doing this with us. I want to start with you, Hitesh, because you came into the cohort with an idea, right?
Yeah.
Tell us the story of Sangti, in terms of how you got the idea to getting to where you are right now, getting funded by Antler, touching upon all the key milestones that you've had in this journey.
Yeah. So let me start from the very beginning. In my last job at Bain, I was already working on climate change and sustainability projects. So as part of these projects, I realized how critical it has become for companies to start addressing on their carbon emissions and the challenges they are facing in doing so. What I also realized is bulk of the emissions of a company lies in its value chain. And that's where the idea of Sangti came about on how can we help companies decarbonize their value chains or reduce the emissions from that. So yeah, I left Bain at the beginning of this year, did spent like a couple of months doing market research, speaking to as many sustainability professionals as possible. What I did realize is there are a lot of solutions out there that are helping companies do decarbonize, but as more of a service or consulting projects. And what is required is technology to come in to get to the next deeper level of generating insights into how companies can decarbonize. So that's where Sangti came in. We are building a B2B carbon management platform to help companies manage and reduce their emissions. Now, one of the critical elements in building this SaaS platform is, of course, having very good tech in-house. And this is where Antler really helped us in the sense I must have spent between April and May speaking to over 100 computer engineers or developers, right? Now, what happens is there are so many hurdles into somebody joining an early stage startup that it's really a very rare event for like somebody to get the right profile. Yeah. And that's where Antler came in, where through the residency, my primary objective was, of course, getting a tech co-founder, someone like Nishant. So, but not just that. I mean, then like having the chats with you, Nandini, and with the rest of the team, meeting other co-founders. So, yeah, I mean, I came in with a very specific objective for the Antler residency, but then it was much more than that.
Yeah. Before I jump on to the Antler residency itself, Nishant, I want to come to you. You quit a very high profile job at Google. Google's one of the nicest places to work at. This is the struggle that founders have, right? Or aspiring founders have to quit something that's comfortable, that is giving you joy every day, but to take that leap to what can be like a tumultuous journey, right? What were your thoughts when you decided to quit Google and decide to start up?
So I think while I was comfortable at the job, I'm somebody who always look for some sort of autonomy, and not just some sort of, in fact, a very high level of autonomy. So I had this, I was kind of in what you can call a entrepreneurship limbo, where I wanted to identify some interesting problem and I wanted to like be a part of an early stage team, but I could not find the problem to solve so that I can take the initiative on it, or find somebody who has a problem which is interesting and I can join in. So my usual portals would be LinkedIn, Angel List. I would occasionally every 2-3 weeks I would just browse through, and yeah, it's like firstly you are not meeting these people in person, so you do not resonate with the idea, and nothing seemed very interesting as such. So that is when I came across, I think so I followed Rajiv on LinkedIn. So I saw his post regarding the residency, and I thought, nah, I'm too comfortable right now. So I just thought, okay, I'll pass for this time. But then I gave it more thought, and I was like, okay, matlab, if you want to do something, you have to kind of back yourself up, and there's no better time than now. So if you like keep postponing it, you'll probably never end up doing it. So I thought कि ठीक है मतलब this, let's take a deeper look at it. Then I went through the entire uh, Antler profile portfolio. I kind of tried to score like how relevant this thing can be. What if I go there and it's a bomb? So I'm a coder, right? So I have to I think of the negative test cases first.
Yeah,
So,
I think you approached it very well, right? Let's come to that big question, right? How did the Antler residency help you out in this journey? What I'd love to hear from you is what are the things that you struggled with and you had to iron out between yourselves, and how did Antler help you through some amount of conflict management? Clearly, different people, different industries. What worked here?
Yes. So,
You want to go first? Yeah.
yeah. uh, yeah. So, Nani, as I was saying, like three things really for me stood out for the residency. One, and I keep saying that the value add of, or the biggest USP of the residency is actually what happens before the program. The kind of founders that are coming in. As I was talking about the hurdles earlier, that there is a big hurdle in somebody joining an early stage startup or like founding, having co-founders, right? So this is where the pre-vetting process, where these 60 founders are selected, that's an absolutely the cohort. When I met them, like it's the great set of people to have, right? And that is a big filter that is already crossed. People who have left their jobs, who are fully committed to building out something and have the right kind of skills and background to actually do that. So that for me is the biggest thing, the pre-vetting process.
Yeah.
But then the structure of the program itself, how it seems like a short time, like it's been only 2.5 months. But the structure of the program, from literally meeting somebody the first day to actually like having those detailed discussions and sometimes very personal discussions as well as we are starting together. So I felt at the beginning of the program like that will be a big leap. How will that happen in 2.5 months? But just the structure of the program is in a way that like it facilitates that happening. And third is of course the for me and like the support that we got from you guys, each one of you, right? I mean, in terms of whenever we had some questions in terms of the business or personally, like between me and Nishant, how will we kind of work together? So like we got that right kind of support at the right time. So yeah, so those three things for me are like really what made the program like a success for me.
Thank you. Nishant, I remember very clearly, when you spoke about your framework for deciding on how to work with Hitesh and Sangti, right? It was a very clear framework in your head. Care to share a few details about it and tell us how, did you pick up some stuff from the cohort? Did you pick up some stuff from all the stuff that was happening during the program? Tell us a little more about it.
Yeah, so I think a couple of days before, I think the cohort was about to start. I think that was when the Slack groups were created and everyone started posting their intros. So first thing is ki I have never been the guy who can interact with a lot of strangers. So my very first threat factor to the success of this journey was ki what if I go there and I end up sitting in a corner and I don't really interact with someone. So I think that was the starting point of me trying to build a framework. So then I said that okay, if you are going to invest so much time in this, then you need to be prepared from day zero. So I went through all the Slack profiles and I tried to like kind of score them ki, theek hai, who are the folks who I want to prioritize in terms of interacting, and who are the folks who I can maybe focus on because it's a long program, so you can anyways be in touch with everyone. So I put most of the tech folks in the second bracket, and basically the domains and the people that I found interesting, I put those in the first bracket. And I think so that was a Saturday when I started doing this. And I think on Sunday itself, I had dropped a message to Hitesh that what you're doing seems interesting. Let's catch up. So that was the thing. And then that also got me thinking, "Guy, this is like too many people. Hmm. So if I get, what if I spend all 3 months just being confused among people? Get, okay, matlab I'm talking 1 week with this person, figuring out stuff and so on. So I always had like climate tech and health tech as basically domains that resonated with me, basically things that will give me a sort of feeling of a purpose along with basically getting stuff done. So I thought, okay, let's just zoom in on people who are in this domain and who seem to be like doing relevant stuff. They seem to know like what it is they're doing. And plus I had some background knowledge on ki theek hai, matlab if you want to judge a person ki theek hai, how good this person is going to be eventually. So I had some points in mind ki how to judge commitment towards the problem statement, So whenever I interacted with, say, a person who mentioned to me ki I do a B2B sales, or I'm a techie, so I would try and understand ki, is this like one of the very best person in the industry? Like if this person is going to generate some work and some other people in the same industry are going to generate some work, will this work actually be competitive? So that was a sort of thing. And when I was interacting with founders, I was trying to just see what is their basically the level of commitment. Like, will they sort of are they in just because of ki, this is a cool thing to, startups are a cool thing to do, and do they really know how dark and gray it can get if you are not basically getting it right? So, and yeah, basically what is it in their background that makes them a good person to solve this, like that puts them in a good position. So those were the like filters that I had initially. I was able to zoom in on a set of people, and then eventually I think so when I interacted with Hitesh, I came to know about Sangti. So this was like right up at the top for me. And I did not. So ideally, you could also take a very conservative approach where you want to spend time with all the problems that you see, and you want to find it out. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm a bit of a obsessive person. So my obsession with the problem statement is what helps me do good, and you cannot like flip that over every 2 weeks. So I was like, "Okay, the way this is going to work for me is ki I'll put them in the order of that. Okay, this has to work. This doesn't work, then the next one has to work, and not try to exhaust all the possibilities." So Sangti was upfront for me that I'll go into it all in, and let's see if this works, if the people work, and then we'll figure it out. So one burning question I had in mind was, there was one question which I was not able to answer, which Rahul had asked me in the interviews, that how much time will it take for you to identify co-founder? And that kind of got me into ki, theek hai, you can probably guess about the professional stuff, but you cannot guess about the personal stuff.
Yeah.
So I acknowledged it in my head ki, theek hai, firstly ki you cannot judge it in say the very first week. You will have to work together. And the second thing is ki, one thing which I found very helpful is ki, if I can disagree respectfully with anyone, then I will be able to work with them, because then there's nothing like I don't have to like have a hilariously huge amount of fun with them. They are like, theek hai, it's a colleague. But disagreeing respectfully forms the base of like, if you are going well, then theek hai, nobody fights when things are going well. But it's when things are going dark, that is when disagreeing respectfully matters a lot.
If I can
So that
interrupt
was
you,
the
sorry,
sorry,
Nishant,
sorry, go
if
ahead.
I can
I think
interrupt you here, if the parts of the program I remembered the breakthrough behavioral analytics retreat that we
yeah,
did. There's a lot of disagreement as you were working on those outdoor activities, right? And I also remember the 50 questionnaire that we did together. There were a bunch of questions that
yeah.
we discussed it. Both of your answers were quite different on what it takes to build $1 billion company, right? What parts of all of this influenced that sort of decision on disagree respectfully, learning more about Hitesh's personal journey himself, and obviously sharing yours, being vulnerable with each other?
Yeah, I think that questionnaire gave us sort of a framework, because those are not the kind of questions that you actually ask upfront. Those are the kind of things that then pop up eventually over a period of 5 to 8 months. So it was very helpful to have that questionnaire right up there, so that okay, you have to discuss it. The working style is going to come up, what you are expecting from the other person, what the other person is expecting from you, and everything, and especially the tough discussions with TK ki how to divide equity, what will be the what is the roadmap, how fast, how aggressive we want to be, how conservative we want to be. So I think that questionnaire uh, kind of made us have that tough discussion early on. So if
Yeah.
you know in a very limited period of time, TK, is this going to work out on a personal basis or not? So I think yeah, that was a great framework to have.
Now the most exciting part, right? Like we love how this has worked out, and we're launching the second cohort. Today is the big launch day. So, as experienced founders, having done this before, Hitesh, why don't you tell me what would you tell other founders in your place, people who have an idea working on something, need someone else to build with, when and they're evaluating the residency? What is your advice? How to get the most out of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick up from where Nishant left, right? He told about this framework that he used to evaluate like who he wants to work with and so on. And that's brilliant, because from my end, as somebody who already came in with an idea, what was important is finding somebody who's committed, right? And the focus that I saw in Nishant, and that's kind of just Nishant in general, like for the next cohort that's coming in, for me, that focus or that like commitment is very important. And Nishant kind of showed that from the very beginning, in terms of, this is the sector that I want to build in. And yeah, this is the problem statement that excites me, because what ends up happening is, while there are like each one of these ideas or each one of these founders are coming from great backgrounds, but it's a lot of different ideas that everybody is working on. So in that, being focused in, okay, not specifically the problem statement, but the sector that you like and all that, that's very important for me. So as somebody who's coming in the program, having that focus for me is something that they should look for. And that not on what that does is kind of then help you have enough time to start exploring the other things.
Right.
Because as we were discussing, that liking an idea or liking a problem statement is just the starting point. Then you have to get along with the personal stuff and all that.
Yeah.
So to know that, okay, motivation wise, in terms of the sector, in terms of the idea, we kind of gel on. That's when you have, let's say, another 1.5, 2 months to really talk about the personal stuff, take time to do the survey, and really spend time with each other. The second thing that I would like to stress on is, of course, we had the 15 days where we were on ground in Bangalore, spending time with each other, doing the activities, and which was great. What also worked for me and Nishant is meeting again after that, wherever it was, spending that time once again, because we are meeting for the first time, right? So spending that personal time, like sometimes Nishant made me watch, which movie was it, Nishant? I don't even remember the
Thor.
name.
You don't
Thor,
remember
Love
it?
and Thunder.
Or yeah, I was just spending that personal time. I was okay watching Thor, which I would never have done by myself. And Nishant was okay going to a comedy show with me. So yeah, I mean, that really helped, spending that time together.
Definitely need a comedy show if we're building for climate change, right? Nishant, I actually want to take a step back, right? I remember you came to me in the third week or something, and fourth week and said, take me off the list. I'm going to work with Sangti, right? And I pushed you back to say, do some activity with them, build something small, see if this is really what you want to do for the next 10 years. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think it was a good thing because, at that point, I had kind of made up my mind, but we did not have the discussion with the questionnaire and everything. So looking back, I know कि if it was like कि ठीक है, instead of Hitesh, there was some other person with whom I would not have gelled around so much. It is possible कि things would have fallen apart, say down the line. So I think that was very helpful to. Sorry, I have to get the door. I'll speak back.
Yeah.
Hitesh, maybe till then, like one question, and this is taking off from the question Nandini just asked, right? Like you were sort of like the person who came with the idea, and Nishant got integrated or, became a co-founder with you. What was that sort of? And there are also founders in the cohort where maybe both of them are starting from scratch, right? But you guys also started from a slightly different place, but obviously it's early stage. So, um, uh, uh, just want to understand from your perspective, how did that sort of like integration and maybe like deconstructing, rebuilding some of those things, how did that entire process happen for you guys?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, because yes, I spoke about the focus that Nishant showed and everything. But once we finished the 15 days on ground, what Nishant immediately started doing is, and specifically it's important in our field because we are in a bit of a technical space in that sense. So Nishant went through all the trainings that are out there with respect to how carbon accounting is done, like upskilling himself for the next 1 month, like just understanding how that is done, what are the basics, asking me questions around that. That was very important in like kind of us coming on the same page in terms of like exactly what the problem statement is. And from my side, it actually helped me a lot in the sense, here was a person who was coming from an outside view. After 15 days, 1 month, he had enough background, but at the same time, he was still not that deep into the material as I was. So then hearing his feedback on what we are doing and how we can do things differently, so that helped me refine my kind of thinking process as well. So yeah, it worked both ways for us, that integration.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
to add to that, so that was also the point, like after the discussion that we are having, Nandini, that after the 3 weeks, so that was the point where we sort of started working, and we knew ki we have some tough discussions to do, but we were like, "Ki, let's not do it very upfront. So let's work together for a couple of weeks." So that was the time when basically I would like take notes from him, ki, "Okay, what are the sites I need to go through? What are the trainings I need to do?" We would catch up every 2 days. We would discuss Kitik what are the things that we went through, what he did not understand, stuff like that. Then once we were comfortable, then we had one tough discussion on okay, how do we divide equity and all. Then I think 1 week down the line, we did the questionnaire. So I think that also kind of put into perspective the behavioral stuff while getting stuff done. Yeah.
No, this is great. It's a great framework, and the milestoning is great on how you tackle the tougher questions and handle the easier stuff first. Anything else, Isha?
Beginning of this conversation, you said something very interesting, right? You were almost in this entrepreneurship limbo for a very long time. And we keep seeing that there are a lot of people with this massive desire to build, like they know deep down that entrepreneurship is something for them. They want to go down this path. But there a lot of people are in this limbo because this taking this leap and actually putting in your papers and committing to this path is a very scary leap, right? It's a very scary switch. It's not easy. What would be your advice to people who are right now in that limbo?
So I think one thing which helped me is कि I have a kind of a risk-taking mindset. So मतलब as long as I see कि there is a soft rock bottom to fall on, I don't worry that much. But if I were to give a framework, I would say कि firstly take your personal finances into account. Hmm. You should have this expectation that for the first 2 or 2.5 years, you are not going to make any money from your business. So personal finances was actually the reason that kind of made me quit my previous venture, because I was in a lot of debt and it was getting me, I was actually getting panic attacks. So that was like a big thing for me. Firstly, personal finances should be sorted so that you are very focused. Second would be, if possible, take your family into confidence, because family, and by family I mean anyone whose approval matters to you, because you need a small set of people who kind of back you. And it's like, so what happens is ki, when you do something which is out of the ordinary, right? And you, let's say if you talk to someone and you say this is not working out right now, but I'll try a number of things and hopefully it will work out. You don't need people to actually sort of say I told you so and stuff like that. You don't need that mindset. So if possible, take some folks into confidence who you can kind of run things by, and just talk to in general ki, "ठीक है, this is how it's going, this is going good, this is going great." So you have that sort of emotional backing behind you. And the next thing would be ki matlab I'm not someone who is a lot in favor of plan Bs, because I believe plan B actually kind of makes your resolve weaker. If you know you have somewhere to fall to, then you will probably will not work as hard. But if it matters to you, if it helps you being less anxious, then have a plan B. Know ki if, let's say, 2 years down the line you gave it your all, it did not work out, what realistically what position will you be in? And ultimately the answer would be ki you will be okay. And it's not like ki you are going to have a very major opportunity cost that you cannot cover up during later part of your life, or even in any other direction. So once you have those, And then last would be clarity, because now till now we were just making sure ki you are not anxious and scared and stuff like that. Now you need to think of what is it that like let's say you end up working on something for 10-15 years, is what is that thing that will, that you can look back at say 20 years down the line and you can say that I'm happy that I gave kind of my entire life to this problem statement. What is that problem statement that can, like, if let's say someday everything goes wrong and everyone around you turns on you, then what is that problem statement that can make you stick your ground? So I would say these are the 3-4 things that you should have, and then everything will fall into place. Like, not fall into place, but you will be able to handle what comes your way.
Nishant's first point is interesting because I agree money can't buy you happiness, but it can liberate you.
Yeah.
Just having just having
That
that.
is that is some very solid advice. Superb, guys. Thank you. And many congratulations once again. This is like just the start. And now that, you're part of the Antler family, we are going to be like much more in touch and like super excited to see where all Sangti goes and the greatness you guys achieve. So, I mean, thank you so much.